Cirulli-Burton, and welcome to this channel that I've named Above the Battleground, ACIM. Above the Battleground is based on the teachings of a spiritual self-study path known as A Course in Miracles. I've been a student of A Course in Miracles since 1992, and recently have just felt compelled to share with you some of the insights, some of the profound perspectives that have made such an impact on my life, with the hope of it's going deeper within me and maybe having some kind of a positive impact on you. Today I want to talk about how sunlight is the great disinfectant. In an earlier broadcast, I spoke about the necessity we have for projection. So what does projection mean then? It means that I take my alleged darkness, my wrong-minded thinking, I take that and I project it onto you or you. And when I do that, I'm pure, I'm clean. The problem is in you. Now, I am very intrigued by the idea that the wrong mind, the ego mind, has gone out and created trillions of different forms. These are discrete, separate, unique from each other. And so what that basically means is that every creature in the ego mind can project. They have a whole bevy of people and things that they can project on. Now, A Course in Miracles tells me that these feelings of wanting to be guilt-free are coming from the fact that I feel so enormously guilty. And what over? That I believe that I usurp the power of God. I feel so guilty that I did that, and now I am filled with terror and fear that there will be retribution. God will get me. Now, A Course in Miracles will tell us that this is just an hallucination. But, you know, just hearing the word a hallucination, what do I do about this? What do I do? Where do I go? Well, what ACIM says is get yourself, pray for help to get to the top of that mountaintop. And then, for me, to look with Jesus or the Holy Spirit. And sometimes I look at the whole ego world, the whole wrong-minded world. I look at the fighting, and I look at the terror. I look what people perpetrate on each other. And I see that. And I see that it's in me too. But I see that. More often, for me, I look more at my own stuff. So I have been learning to pull in my projections, to look at my projections. Remember, I am a human being. Yes, I am a human being. And so for me to have a personification of Jesus is really very, very helpful. So I have absolutely fallen in love with Jonathan Rumi, I hope I'm not killing his name, who's been playing the part of Jesus in the television series The Chosen, which is about the life and ministry of Jesus. And I think what happened is that I fell for the laughter. I mean, I've only seen season 1, and that Jesus, he laughed a lot. And so he became, for me, the person that I would sit with on my bench, and I would then look. So, one time, I was just so furious that this man would not give me the attention that I wanted. I couldn't make him behave or think the way I wanted him to. And I got there. So I went up to my bench above the battleground. I held the hand of Jesus and I looked. I looked at me being mad that I couldn't make that man do what I wanted him to do. So at Jesus. And do you know what Jesus did? I can't believe it. Still to this day, I can't believe it. He went. I was like, what? But that was very interesting for me. Well, another time, this wasn't very long ago, I was going through the line of a food place where you pick the items that you want. And you know, I was lovingly getting along with everybody who was serving the food. It was really, really a lovely experience. Then I get to the cashier. I get to the cash register. And I got engaged in a conversation with the cashier before the woman ahead of me had kind of finalized her stuff. And what happened was that she looked at me and she goes, excuse me, I haven't gotten my food yet. And I went. So of course she dramatically put her arm over there, over me, got her food, put her head up in the air, and went. Well, I, of course, wanting to be the loving and good person that I knew myself to be, I looked at the cashier, who was shocked at the little exchange, and I said, oh, no problem. It was my fault. And I smiled benignly, and I left. And I got in my car, and I don't know how to quite explain this to you, but I was so filled with rage and hate directed at that woman, I couldn't believe myself. Wow! It came up. So I knew this was an episode that I had to look at with Jesus. And one of the things I did, and sometimes I do, and I love doing it, is I do a random opening of A Course in Miracles. Remember, it's a big book. It has a text, it has a workbook, it has a manual for teachers, and in the third edition that I use, it also has the Song of Prayer. It has an issue, a section devoted to psychotherapy. So it's a big book. So I opened it up, and what do you think I read? I couldn't believe it. Never underestimate your desire to kill someone. Wow. Never underestimate. So I knew this was a Jesus episode. So I went to the top of the mountain, and I held the hand of Jesus, and I looked at this in my mind's eye. I looked at me raging and hating. And then, in my mind's eye, I looked at Jesus. I got to tell you something. He was laughing so hard. He was laughing, and while I was looking at him, you know, he kind of disappeared. It was fascinating. So I have to tell you that I do that a lot. So what is the purpose, really, of doing that? Well, the thing of it is that the Holy Spirit will never take my darkness away from me. Never. It's free will. The only way that I can come clean with Jesus and the Holy Spirit is if I willingly don't want this messing me, being an obstacle on this path to pure love. When I don't want it, the Holy Spirit can take it away. And I'll tell you something else that I've noticed too. I've noticed that when I just can look at my stuff without judgment, with peace, with Jesus, who just is there, a compassionate viewer, if you will, one who sees me as a son of God who is struggling to get to where I want to be, and I can't get there unless I undo. So what I notice then is that as I can look at me with patience, with kindness, with non-judgment, I have a tendency to be able to do that when I look at other people. My judgment calls, I'm going to tell you, against other people have lessened and lessened and lessened. And by my very nature, I've always been a very judgmental person. You know I know what's right. And for me to begin this amazing undoing, but keep in mind, sunlight is the greatest disinfectant. And when I bring my stuff out so that the Holy Spirit and Jesus can look at it and take it away, I become happier and happier more often. The introduction to the Course in Miracles says, "The Course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The intriguing thing is that the Holy Spirit, the voice for God, cannot remove our blocks, our darkness, if you will, unless we offer it to Him. This is the free will that is enshrined within A Course in Miracles. Offer it, it will be taken away. And nothing can equal the experience of going above the battleground, sitting on that bench with Jesus, looking at my stuff in the presence of perfect, absolute love, patience, and non-judgment, looking with Jesus at the top of the mountain. Thank you so much for joining me today.